Whenever you work with ratios, you always want to ask yourself one question. What sort of ratio do I have? Now remember, there are really two types of ratios. There are part-to-part ratios and there are part-to-whole ratios. A part-to-whole ratio is where you compare part of something to the entirety of a set. And a part-to-part ratio is where you compare the parts of a set to one another. Here, we've got a part-to-part ratio because odds and evens are both parts of the set, and we're comparing the parts to one another. Now, whenever you work with part-to-part ratios, you want to remember one thing, which is if you add up the parts, you get the whole. And that's going to be true here, because if we add the number of odds to the number of evens, that's going to equal the number of numbers in the set, because this set exclusively consists of positive integers, and when you work with integers, that is to say whole numbers, everything is either an odd number or an even number. So if our ratio is 7 parts odd numbers to 4 parts even numbers, we can call the entirety of the set, that is the whole, 11x, because remember, the whole should equal the sum of the parts. Now the question, of course, wants us to compare 1/4 of the number of odd numbers to the total number of numbers on the list. Well, if we call odd numbers 7x, 1/4 of that amount would be 7/4 x. And so to solve this question, we really need to compare 7/4 x to 11x. To do this easily, let's just remember one thing. Ratios can always be represented as fractions. So to solve this problem, we're going to divide 7/4 x by 11x. Now when we do, the first thing that happens is that the x's cancel, leaving us with 7/4 divided by 11. Now remember, 11 is the same thing as 11 over 1. And further recall that to divide two fractions, you simply need to multiply the numerator by the flip of the denominator, because what's division? It's multiplying by the reciprocal. So to answer this question, it's going to be 7 over 4 times 1 over 11. And when we multiply across, we get 7 over 44. And there you go. That's the reason here that 7 over 44 is the correct answer.